Hello and welcome. So today I'm going to be doing a cash stuffing video, although it's a little bit different to maybe a traditional cash stuffing video because it's more of a currency exchange. So currently my sinking funds are all in Australian dollars because that's where I've been working and budgeting out all my money. However, at the end of this month, I'm moving to the States to continue my studies, and I want to continue to do this budgeting system because I found it really effective to stay on track with my savings and also just to keep within a budget. Having the cash physically there just makes it so much more easier and manageable, and I want to continue this when I get to America. However, I only need a little bit of money for when I go to the States, so that's why I'm kind of all the cash that I'm going to bring to America is going to be this amount that I'm going to share with you now. And that is because where I'm going is a little bit alternative. It's a little bit of a different kind of study program. So I'll explain that in a minute. Pretty much I've been able to save $1,780 in my sinking funds in Australian money. That converts to, based off what the current exchange rate is, as $1,372 American. However, I had some American money already from when I previously lived there, and then I was able to get a little bit more, but I didn't get the exact denominations I guess I necessarily need to make that exchange perfect. So I actually was able to get 1,313 US dollars. So that's what I'm going to be stuffing now and today, and I'm going to also make a few adjustments and change up a sinking fund or two just to make it applicable to where I'm going. So to give you context to where I'm going and why I'm only bringing like such a small amount, bear with me. As a student, you know, you're not really meant to be working as your studies, or maybe there is you can work a certain amount. I'm not actually sure how it works. And in my head, you're not meant to work at all. So the way that the study program is sustainable and that I don't need to bring money with me is that it's sort of an exchange. So you do your studies and that gets covered, the cost of your course and your tuition. And then in exchange for that, you give all your time and energy to supporting people who live with disability. And because the study program is social work, it is very relevant and it's actually a part of the studies. So they consider the time and hours you do throughout the week when you're not in class, basically, as the practicum for your studies. So it's all directly sort of connected and related, and it all makes sense because it's all working with people in social work, which is the point of the studies. So in exchange for about 60 to 70 hours a week of my time, they give you a place to live, food, basic like bills like associated to living covered within that, and health insurance, and then your cost of your tuition is covered. So I don't really need a lot of money going over there. I definitely don't want to dip into my Australian savings, so I'm just bringing over this little bit that I've been able to save up with my sinking funds, and that's what I'm going to pull from. Now, they do give you a stipend check each month of around $200. I'm not exactly sure what it is, and that is to cover any other expenses that don't get covered from the basic needs things. So like when I have my day off, I get one day off a week, and I wanted to go into the city, or I wanted to have a meal out, or I wanted to buy a drink, or any of these little extra personal things, that's what that $200 a month is. But I can explain more specifically about that when I actually know how much I'm going to get. So anyway, that's the money laid out, and we're going to get into each fund and how I've decided to break it up. So I hope that gives you a little bit of context if you're going to keep following me throughout this cash stuffing videos. So the first sinking fund I have is travel. I was saving this up to go on a little trip before I went to the States. However, I got very overwhelmed at the idea of moving that I decided that it was best that I just don't go on this trip. And because of that, it was quite helpful because I had this sinking fund and it had $450 in it, and I actually had to get my Australian driver's license renewed, and that was $350, and I hadn't really been saving or preparing for that expense, so that was quite helpful. I was able to use the travel money to do that. Now, I do have 100 left in that, and I've decided that I'm going to dissolve this sinking fund because I don't really need it so much anymore because I'm not going to be taking that trip, and I'm just going to be putting this 100 with experiences. So experiences, I have a total of 200 Australian dollars saved up in there. I'm going to add this extra 100 as well, so it's about 300. And I did the conversion, so experiences is 200 Australian is about 154 American, but because I'm adding in that other 100, I'm going to give myself 226 American dollars. So I'm just going to pop this here. And yeah, I'm going to update the cards off camera just because I'll put like a big line through it, and then I'll start with the US money just because that will just make this video way too long. So let's grab 225 and 6. So that's for experiences. And yeah, so because I have certain denominated bills, I was only able to kind of do the conversion as best I could and then kind of move the money around. But you'll see that as this video moves forward. Moving, which is the sinking fund I created to go overseas, has 400 in it. Now, I will need to take about 100 out just for paying for my insurance. I'm going to pay for travel insurance just while I'm going, just to like look after all my stuff, and I have camera equipment with me and things like that. So I will be putting this here. That's the 400, and I'm going to be doing 222, although technically 400 Australian equals about 308 American. But yeah, I'm going to keep some of it out just because I still need to lock in that insurance. So that's the moving fund, and that's just going to be kind of like if I get there and I feel like I need something straight away. I don't think I will, but also like when I get to LA, if I need to buy a meal in the airport, like little things like this, whilst I'm traveling, that's what that's going to cover. Self-care currently has 70 Australian, but I'm going to be changing that to 54 American. So 50, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's kind of nice to have the $1 bills again. It makes it very effective in terms of like keeping really to the dollar amount with your sinking funds. And it's also a nice way to just be able to save a little bit here and there. And it fits really well with the envelopes. Although it is a bit of a trick because sometimes you think, oh, I've got lots of money on me, but then you realize it's all ones and you don't have as much as you thought you did. So the next is clothing. I've got 260 Australian, and I will be changing that to 203 American. So I have a lot of $100 bills. That's just how it worked out. Is it 203? What are we doing? Yeah, 203 for clothing. I've said this several times, but when I get to the States, I don't have any real winter clothing, so I might need to get my winter coat. Yeah, it's funny. The American money is really different to the Australian. Australian is so colorful, and yeah, it's also plastic, so it doesn't really wear and tear, but you can see like these dollar bills are so worn over time. It's just really different to be working with American money. And like to me, because I've been working with Australian for so long, like the last 2 years, it feels like American money's like monopoly money to me. It doesn't feel real. But then I had that same experience when I moved back to the States. Sorry, I should explain what I just did there. So this is toiletries. It has 55 in it, and I'm going to be adding 42 American, 20, 2 tens, and $2. So when I'm at the school place, they do have some basic toiletries that you have access to, but I'm thinking for me that I still will need to replenish my cleanser and just maybe some specific face products, because yeah, those are the things that they won't necessarily cover, and I still want to continue to use the nice cleanser I've been using and the few things I've been doing for my face. I'm trying to keep everything in frame, but it's a bit tricky. The next is gifts. I have 130 Australian, and that's going to be converted to, I think, 100. Did I have? Yeah, 101 American. So that's for the gifts. I'm not sure if I'll use that straight away. And so pretty much I think I maybe have like $5 left in my American account from when I was living there before. And then my savings is here in Australia. I'm not going to be bringing my savings with me. I'm just, there's no point. Like, I'm just leaving it here. My idea is just to bring this 1,300. So I have a little buffer of my own money. If I do need to book a flight home, I'll have it in this, have it in American or whatever I might need it for. And then I will just rely on the stipend that I'll be given each month. And yeah, that's going to be, I really want to stick within my means. I definitely don't want to eat into my savings at all. That's why this is like the budgeted out amount that I've been using for my sinking funds, that I do I'm giving myself permission to spend. But yeah, because everything is covered in the States, I shouldn't need to spend anything. It's a really amazing setup whereby the basics are all covered. So really it's going to be up to me to really stick to my no buy and stay on track with that. So health was 325 Australian. That equals 250 actually converted. But I'm just going to be putting 200 in because when I do get to the States, my health insurance is covered over there, so I shouldn't have to really pay anything out for health. Although I do want to just keep this 200, just if there's any like vitamins or anything that I need to like purchase that isn't covered within my health insurance, or if I just don't feel comfortable, because like the place where I'm studying, if you need certain vitamins, certain things, you can ask them for it. But if there's something I want to do that's related to my health and I don't feel comfortable asking the school, then I also want to have that as an option. You know, you never know when you might need a little extra cash. So that's what that's for. We have 80 for miscellaneous. So a 10, 20, 50. And that's going to be 60 Americans. So there are 2 20s and 2 10s. And then we're almost there. We've got one more, which is the laptop. So yeah, the miscellaneous category is just a good one to have. And the idea with pretty much all of these sinking funds is that they're directly translatable to living in the States as they have been being here in Australia. You know, there's not I guess a discrepancy in these things. Like they still work no matter what my setup or like living circumstances are. The next is my laptop for 260 Australian, and that is about 200 American, but then I also have this extra 5 left over, so we're gonna have 205 in there. Like I said, my laptop's still going strong, but because I am gonna be in studies, I really don't want it to die on me. I mean, obviously, like if my laptop's to die, I will just use my savings to buy a new one because it is essential, but I want to kind of already be preempting that, so having a little bit saved away each month. And, you know, I'll be getting my $200 each month, and I'll be contributing to these sinking funds where I see it's appropriate. I will probably be adding in some new sinking funds and changing maybe 1 or 2, but I'm going to decide that once I get there. So that is everything now put into American dollars from Australian. I'm really going to miss all these really colourful, beautiful notes, but that's okay. So now all this Australian cash that I have left over, I'll be taking this to the bank, and I'm really looking forward to making my trip over there. And yeah, excited to keep working with my sinking funds in a different, very different setup. And I think that's what I really love about this system, is it's directly translatable no matter like what currency you're in, but also what financial situation you're working with and how much you're working with. You know, it still works if I'm on a stipend check and getting $200 a month. All the basics obviously covered, which is amazing, and it also works when I'm making about 8,000 Australian a month. So that's what I want to try and show myself, teach myself. So I have this system, it's going to work whatever sort of situation comes up for me. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.